the backbone of our ministry. Pray as you go. Colossians 4, 2 to 5. In any season of our lives, prayer is indispensable. It expresses that we are helpless. We can do nothing without His divine interventions. Have you heard about PUSH, P-U-S-H, in prayer? During the early stage of pandemic, it means pray until something happens. A call to intercede as a church, a group prayer, maybe an hour a day until pandemic is over. You will amaze that some evangelical churches had gone through more than 500 days and still consistent about their commitment. We are inspired by what they did, but the Lord always reminded us to make prayer as a habit until it becomes your life. There are good and great things happen, and yet prayer should become a lifestyle. In the passage above, continue steadfastly in prayer, being watchful in it with thanksgiving. At the same time, pray also for us, that God may open for us a door for the word to declare the mystery of Christ, an account of which I am in prison, that I may make it clear which is how I ought to speak. Walk in wisdom toward outsiders, making the best use of the time. Paul urged fellow Christians to pray for world evangelization, regardless of the persecution they experience. Yes, fervently they prayed, the focus of the church during his time. The word he used for praying is active, continue steadfastly, meaning consistently. It must be a persevering kind of prayer. And the request concern is not on health issues or financial needs, not a transaction, not even the release of Paul from prison. The focal point is perseveringly praying for all those who witness. He is asking to intercede for his team, for us, he said. Maybe Timothy and some young believers. The prayer is in generalities. For all Christians who witness must pray continually that God may open a door of opportunity for preaching His word, the gospel. These young missionaries might reach the every corners of the world, and so that all humanity should have a chance to hear about Christ. Paul was a great and effective preacher, but he knew very well that his effectiveness was due to the prayers of his fellow believers. Therefore, he continues to ask the Colossian believers for their plea, knowing that if their prayers for him lessens, his effectiveness will also lessen. We still remember the early stage of our ministry, when we tend to become consistent in our prayer. Even scheduling a dawn prayer, our ministry seems to be so pleasant. But when we take for granted the benefits of prayer, our ministries turn to be so dry. Prayer, therefore, is the missing piece from which we could stand. Next is purposely praying for those or for the gospel presentation in any occasion. Paul exhorts the believers to make the most of every opportunity to witness. If we are not in the front line, he is beseeching for our prayers. Let us take every chance to share the good news with outsiders or with the unbelievers. Our ministry of presence make us aware of what was happening inside the community. When there are celebration, thanksgiving, and even grief. When loved one pass away during this hard moment, the Lord gave us an open door in leading a funeral service and share the gospel to the immediate family. We will not let this event happen without the help of the chat group brigade who participate with us in prayer. God bless us to purposely share the gospel, even uniting our prayer partners or prayer believers to be one in prayer. The third and last is that Paul is urging us to passionately praying for the lost. Walk in wisdom toward these outsiders, making the best use of the time. We should extend more of our considerations and, and the grace to those we are reaching out. Always seek occasions to win the unsaved, even though we lose something of our own. Pray always for favorable time and good understanding with the conviction of the Holy Spirit. We thank the Lord for teaching us to pray for one another, for the propagation of the gospel, and for the unsaved. He taught us to persevere, purposeful, and passionate in prayer. Always remember, never be deceived of what we can do. Rely on Him alone. Pray as you go.